Hey, welcome everybody to the Invest Soup podcast with Mark McMahon. Today I have my guest, Dan Gandee. He is from Oregon and he is doing pretty much exactly what I'm doing. He is a real estate agent, also an investor, and he also sells a lot of properties to investors. So pretty much he covers the entire gamut of what I talk about all the time. So guys, buckle up and we're going to learn some stuff today. I'm hoping I learn a lot of stuff today because Dan's been doing this for a while. Rags to riches story. And so why don't you give us a little background on yourself and kind of let us know where you're at and where you were.
Yeah, I'll give you kind of the cliff notes of everything. Is I grew up in Ohio. It's just middle class family. No one really was investing in real estate. My dad still doesn't invest in real estate. He still owns the same house that they moved into when they got married. So just had to, get through high school, figure out what my path was. Definitely, had my years of partying and being crazy and stupid. And I finally went to college and got a degree in marketing and advertising. And '08 happened. And my best friend was my best friend's parents were really big real estate developers.
Where was that at?
In Ohio.
You're still in Ohio at this time.
Still in Ohio,
Okay.
Canton, Ohio, 2008. One of the worst places you could be.
That may have gone down a little bit during that time. Yeah, I remember.
And me and my best friend were just like cleaning out brand new condos they were building, and it was crickets, man. Like, developments just had for sale sign after for sale sign after for sale sign, half built homes. It was this really weird. It was this really weird moment in life where I was like, if I don't change my environment, I don't know if I'm going to make it out of this.
Right.
I think like 99.9% of my friends had DUIs. It was just a crazy place where, you knew everybody who you grew up with, went to high school with, and you had to really make a decision if you're going to make a leap. So
let me ask you a quick question. So you're mentioning, friends with DUIs and things like that. So your circle of influence pretty much was that at that time.
Yeah, it's all I knew. Right.
And then so I love this, and it's really important for people to listen to this really carefully because this happens to a lot of us. We stick around our friends, because it's comfortable, and we don't allow ourselves to grow. In fact, a lot of times we digress. So what was it that what were you listening to that made you decide I got to get out of the circle of friends and change my my place? What was it?
It was actually a pretty sad moment. One of my buddies passed of an overdose. And it kind of took our group of friends by surprise. And then my best friend and I were planning on, trying to build business and kind of go things. And he got a girl pregnant. That was, to really answer your question, that was the moment in which I sat there and said to myself, well, his life is going to change for the next 18 years. I was like,
yeah.
I was like, it's not that I don't want to support him and help him through that process, but I don't want this to happen to me. And yes, that can happen anywhere, but that was really the deciding moment. And then to kind of flip that story is one of my other friends, his stepdad passed away, and his stepdad lived in San Jose, California. And I remember his mom calling and saying the bad news. And she was like, listen, I don't know how we're going to keep the house without dad's half of the mortgage, right? She's working, he's working. And her son actually had just left to go to college. And I was sitting there and I was like, I'll move out there and help you pay the mortgage. No job, really no money.
How old are you?
Right now I'm 39.
No. How old were you then? So that's
25 years old.
Okay.
I had no job, hardly any money. I think I had like $3,000 to my name that I had saved up for an entire summer.
Okay. That's not bad.
Not bad. Threw my dog in the car, drove all the way across the country, moved to San Jose. Super blessed for that opportunity.
Yeah.
2 weeks into it, landed a job working for a landscape architect. and he was working Carmel and Pebble Beach.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a construction estimator in college. And, it just one thing left out of another. I helped him build like a 3 or 4 plant nursery, wholesale nursery operation.
Mm-hmm.
We were doing a lot of big accounts, and developers and contractors were coming in. And I was always like, I want to be around building. Right. And that was the moment where kind of things changed. A gentleman walked in, and it was actually 2 partners. They were like, listen, how much to basically headhunt you or to hijack you from this job?
Mm-hmm.
We want to build a design build construction company that focuses on interior and exterior design, both landscape architecture and high end building of homes.
Right.
And we need a marketing person. We need somebody that can help us with that. So I took the leap of faith. That blew up. 4 years of doing that. We went from 2 crews to about 10 crews
Mm-hmm.
running. I had over 7,000 Facebook followers. They invited me to Menlo Park to figure out what at the headquarters of Facebook to figure out what I was doing. Cause this was like Facebook business 101, the early days.
Mm-hmm.
I was generating anywhere between 3 to 10 projects a month from Facebook.
Jeez.
And,
Can you imagine getting 3 to 10 houses a month from Facebook?
unbelievable, right?
If you could. Yeah.
If you could, right?
Yeah.
So I say this story because, like, how did I get into real estate then, right? I
Yeah.
was I was working with a bunch of contractors and designers and builders and architects, and I just never wanted to be a real estate agent. And one of my business partners at that time was he owned multifamily
Mm-hmm.
right outside of where Google's campus was in Mountain View, and
Mm-hmm.
he's like, "You should really think about real estate sometime." He's like, because I think he owned or was a partner of an escrow and title company at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And what changed it all
Mm-hmm.
is, once again, basically there was a combination of alcohol and business partners erupting, and I was like, I need to get out of this.
Mm-hmm.
This is like why I left Ohio, basically.
Right.
And
At least you weren't pregnant.
yeah, exactly. And I always tell this story because I was like down and out, like, I'm 28, 29 years old. Didn't know. It's like I had to redesign my life. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of going back into contracting and design building and doing that, I basically just I got on the internet and applied for basically my first real job in
Mm-hmm.
like 5 to 7 years, and didn't know who I was applying with. It was a recruiting agency. Turns out it was one of the top producing real estate brokers in the Silicon Valley.
Okay.
Jumped onto his team, director of ops and marketing, learned the systems, lead generation. He was also a big investor. He owned a
Mm-hmm.
foreclosure company. He was flipping projects. He owned Airbnbs, but way before anybody made it cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned a bunch, and I was like, listen, I need to do this myself. So there was some years of some sandbox playing of different jobs, mobile app companies and things. But really what happened is my wife's job got transferred up to Oregon,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, here we go again.
Well,
Let me just,
that's really lucky for you because you're the Oregon real estate investor, and that doesn't work in California very well. So that makes sense. So it's
no,
lucky that you got to move to Oregon.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I moved up here, started going to some investment, meetups, and found my business partner. We started really chatting it up, and I was working. That's really where I found a job. I started working with Liftoff Agent with Norm. You've been on our podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and we started working with top producers and building websites and funnels and social media. And I also started investing.
Mm-hmm.
But one of my mentors and coaches at the time, they just like literally said, like, dude, I'm not going to sell you any coaching. I'm not going to sell you any courses or anything. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but
Mm-hmm.
I just want you to learn spreadsheets. You're super smart. Run numbers, underwrite, know everything about every type of asset class and how to underwrite properties.
Mm-hmm.
So I built spreadsheets for like 6 weeks, read
Mm-hmm.
tons of books, and then my business partner started sending me deals, underwrite these wholesaling deals, and I'd run the numbers, ARV, MIO, just getting everything cooking along. We'd get them out, and
Mm-hmm.
we built that business pretty quickly. And it came a point where we knew wholesaling, even though it's profitable, we wanted to have something that was a little bit more long term. So
Yeah, no, I think I let's
yeah,
interrupt 1 second here. I love wholesaling. I love the model, but I also see it has a shelf life, and I can see some chinks in the armor. I'm not saying it's going away, but I do believe over the next 4 or 5 years, it's going to become more difficult. Now, I love being able to get a deal under contract, and if I don't want to take it down, I can send it to one of my investor friends or one of my investor clients. I love that. But we don't do it all that often anymore. We used to do an awful lot of it. We do have a wholesaling arm where we have 5 wholesalers that work for us, work with us, we're partners. But I'm not terribly involved in that side of the business. Just because they run it on their own, and there's not much for me to do. We're more the finance side. Uh, and yes, there is some financing when it comes uh, to wholesaling. There are money costs,
yeah,
but I do agree with you on that. That it's one of those parts of the business that can be massively profitable, but putting all of your eggs in that basket is kind of a dangerous thing, in my opinion.
yeah. And
Especially if you're just getting started. Yeah.
that was the biggest thing is like we were, he wasn't getting started. My business partner's been doing this for 25 years. He's flipped tons of houses. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but me coming from the marketing and operations side, it was like, I was like, I want to start a buy and hold and a burr, you know, portfolio. I want to really build this the right way, doing it very
Mm-hmm.
conservatively, but strategically. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, we got W-2s. We're making some, decent money, but at that time I was buying my first home, and getting things straight. And, I was like, I'm not ready to like just jump all in. So I started actually working for a syndication company.
Oh
Uh,
wow. Okay. Yeah. There's another one I don't really get involved with either. So that's funny. Okay.
yeah. So one of my consulting gigs was just helping a pretty big syndicator. I think he owned like over $1,000, and
Yeah.
he's friends with Grant Cardone, and had a lot of connections. And it was back to spreadsheets. Like I was doing the marketing and helping them with the advertising and all that, and data to find these investors that were trying to get rid of these complexes. Uh,
Right.
if anybody knows me, it's like all about marketing, data, systems. Like how do we generate leads and build opportunities? So we're talking to investors. So
Mm-hmm.
full circle, that syndication fund basically went belly up. I saw the
Mm-hmm.
litigation side of it, the bad side of syndication, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I got out of it. And that's when me and my business partner just came back together and we're like, listen, let's do this the right way. Let's create a real estate team
Mm-hmm.
that 90% of our focus is helping people build wealth through real estate,
Yes.
either educating them how to be investors
Mm-hmm.
or educating other agents who come to our team on how to become investors. And
Mm. Amen.
that's how
Yeah.
we
Love it.
that's how we created the operative group. We're up to 19 agents now on the team throughout Oregon, all the way
Mm-hmm.
from Portland, all the way to Roseburg, all the way out to the coast, all the way out to almost Idaho. I got somebody out in Baker City. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so we're doing millions and millions of dollars in investment property. I just closed like a $2 million 1031. Uh,
Nice.
but it's
So let me ask you a couple quick questions. We got to do it while it's fresh in my mind, or it'll just
yeah, feet away.
blow away like the wind. So if you had to break it down into percentages, so the 3 cornerstones to investing in my book are being a real estate agent, buy and hold, and flipping properties. So I mean, pretty much covers the gamut there, right? And I think all three dovetail quite nicely together. What would you say if you had to break that down into percentages? What takes your time? How do you spend your day percentage wise on being a real estate agent and being a buy and hold investor and flips?
Yep. I'd say about 50% of my day is spent with the real estate team and the brokerage operations, and
Mm-hmm.
dealing with investment listings. I mean, I've got
Mm-hmm.
land that's listed right now three pieces of land that are listed. We got
Mm-hmm.
investment properties that are listed, and there's also buyers and sellers that we're working. So that's about 50% of my day.
Mm-hmm.
Another about 40% of my day is managing our BRRRR projects that we're constantly
Mm-hmm.
doing. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, I got 3 duplexes that we did eviction remodels on that we're just working through each and every one of the units. And so
Mm-hmm.
that really takes up about the other half of my day. And then there's, I'd say 5 to 10% of that remaining day is on our development projects
Mm-hmm.
that are a little bit more larger scale.
Mm-hmm.
We own a couple mobile home parks, and then we're working on trying to lock down another huge RV park.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so those aspects, there's so much due diligence and
Yeah.
planning.
Yeah.
People don't realize, like, with those big projects, like, you may be 30, 40, 50 hours in and never get the deal.
Uh, yeah. Yeah. It's not just it's any deal, but yeah, the big deals take more time. But
Yeah.
yeah, you could go 4 months without getting a deal working 10 hours a day. But then you get that sweet deal and make 100 grand. And because you've been working for 4 months really hard, you got 20 more deals in the hopper that are going to actually come to fruition in the next 6 months. So, but you got to get through that period of time where you're starting, right? And so that leads to when you started getting into real estate. I don't know what your first deal was, whether it was you sold somebody something, you bought something, or you flipped something, but whatever it was, what was it, and how long did it take to get that first deal?
Yeah.
Where you made money with this new venture?
Yeah. So on the real estate brokerage side, I got my license, and the very first day I signed a listing for a duplex.
Okay, so you go against everything. Justin, we'll just go ahead and cut this interview off now. I don't like this guy anymore. He's an ass. He's bragging, and I don't like him. No,
No.
that's cool. That's awesome. So okay, tell me that. How did you get that?
Yeah. So the reason I always tell that story is the very first day I was licensed, I got a listing. Uh,
Yeah,
is that it came from generating leads from our investment company. Right?
awesome. Okay.
The lady called me. She had a 3 property portfolio, one which was a 9 unit, another in which she owned 2 other duplexes. In order to owner finance us the 9 unit, she needed to sell the 2 duplexes, pay off, get all the proceeds from those 2 sales to pay off the remaining note on the 9 unit. And
Mm-hmm.
so what we did is I'm going to get to our first investment deal, but what I did is I signed a real estate option agreement on the
Mm-hmm.
9 unit so she couldn't sell it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I turned around and listed both of her duplexes and sold them for over asking. She went to the
Cool.
bank, paid off the note on the 9 unit, and then turned around and owner financed this to us on a 30-year AM note at 5% with two
Oh,
with two at 250,000 down.
wow.
And it
Okay.
needed like 250 grand and remodel and ton of tenant repositioning.
Yeah.
We actually assigned that deal to another investor because there was a lot of meat on the bone. And with guys, what I like assigning, if I'm going to assign, is I assign terms that I've already negotiated, and that is extremely valuable. So
So how
uh,
do you write that in the contract that you can give that to somebody else? I mean, do you put in that it's assignable in the contract, or did she just go for it?
we explained to her at that point it was 2 LLCs that were buying the
Mm-hmm.
project together, and we just
Mm-hmm.
explained to them that we were just going to assign our interest to the other LLC. She already knew the other person that was in the deal with us,
Okay. Okay.
and so typically that real estate option agreement in there had the terms, price, what we were going to buy at, everything. And so the title company literally was just like, we have everything we need, blah, 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 blah. I got paid as a real estate broker. We made an assignment fee and we moved that transaction on. But
Nice.
the very first deal that I did, because that, guys, what I didn't share about that whole story is that 9 unit and that entire progression, it took 3 to 5 months, right, to get all of
Yeah.
that stuff to
Yeah.
close
Of
strategically.
course.
But in all of that, I just want to, before I talk about for the very first investment deal, I want to talk about what happens when you're unpacking those types of deals. That lady
Hmm.
never told us that she was getting sued about somebody falling down the steps.
No, that would have been nice to know.
Yeah. In your contracts, make sure that there's a clause in there that says, hey, if you have any pending litigation, let us know.
Yeah, yeah.
Second thing is there was person selling meth out of it that had multiple sheriff reports. She didn't share anything
Was
about
it was it what was the quality like on that? Was it good or bad?
it. It was like a
Asking for a friend.
no, it was like a D plus asset.
No, I'm talking about the meth, bud.
That I don't know.
Oh, I mean, I don't care. I'm just asking. Yeah.
um, but
So is it? But the asset was a D plus.
hence the reason we assigned it. I don't
Yeah,
want
yeah, yeah,
I don't want something in our portfolio that I
yeah.
can't take a D to a B, right?
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy with mid C's. I'm real happy with that. But a D, I wouldn't do. But yeah,
I was, and especially on our first. So
yeah, yeah.
we took some of that capital, and to get to the first investment deal was that we actually went out. We were networking with other real estate agents, and now, guys, I want to talk about the power of having a network of other real estate agents. Everybody that wants to say that I'm a real estate agent, why would I be friends with other real estate agents? We told them that we owned an
Because that's where
investment
the because
company,
that's where the deals come from.
right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah,
So we
yeah.
told we first got licensed. We're like, hey guys, we're fresh fish, but we've been investing for a long time here.
Hmm.
And really, we were like my business part. I was using my business partner's experience. He had been
Yeah.
doing it for years, and we just told every real estate broker we knew, like, if you got deals, send it to us. If they're complicated, send it to us. We told every attorney, like with probate, uh,
Hmm.
if you got difficult stuff that's going on, let us know. Divorce, messy stuff, like let us know.
Hmm.
So what started to happen on our very first deal is uh, son gets inherited a property.
Hmm.
He doesn't want to live there. He's going through a divorce. He needs to sell it before the divorce actually finalizes because it was in a trust and he had a share of
Okay.
it. And he was
Okay.
trying to basically screw his wife over from not getting a piece of it.
Right.
So he talked to his attorney. Everything was kosher. We bought it, owner financing, $10,000 down, 3 acres, single family home with an ADU on it.
Hmm.
And it was definitely a Burr project, but we were like, well, we're not going to refinance out of this.
Hmm.
So we went in, evicted the tenants. First, took the ADU, did a value add to it. We made it the 2 bedroom ADU into a 3 bedroom ADU and adding a wall.
Okay.
Redid all the floors, new paint, new appliances. Uh, Went back, re-rented it for market rent. We were done with
Hmm.
that project. Moved back over to the other house. We got that house, just did a light cosmetic flip on it. And then here's the power, guys, of understanding how to structure deals. It was 3 acres. Two of the
Hmm.
first 3 acres was fenced, cross fenced. What I did is I signed a land lease for somebody who wanted to put their horse somewhere on the first 2 acres and then rented the house and rented the ADU. So I had basically was operating like a 3 unit
Hmm.
with principal, mortgage, insurance, and taxes on like a 5% note on 10K down. That was our first deal.
Nice. Yeah, you got Justin sitting behind the control board there, and you got his. I noticed he was looking at something, and then he all of a sudden he's all ears now. He's like, "What? What?" So,
So so yeah, we I did finished this little quick bit of the story is that we ended up holding on to that project for 3 years.
hmm.
We were doing other investment stuff, and I'll talk about that in a second. But we held on to that project for 3 years and basically kept raising the rents. We had a one tenant turnover, got them out, and then I went to the tenants. I was like, "Listen, you guys want to buy this? I'll sell it to you for 350 on owner financing." I was going to do a wrap,
Hmm.
and they were like, "Yeah, we're in it." I was like, "All right, cool. Here's the terms. Here's the conditions. Make sure if you want to have it reviewed by an attorney, have them look at it." They were like, "Let's do it." They get in this big argument, blow up the deal. So we ended up listing that property and getting $50,000 more than I was going to sell it to the tenants.
Hmm.
And we used that capital to purchase our first mobile home park.
Hmm.
And that mobile home park we bought, once again repositioned. We bought it with $175,000 down on a 4.5% note for
Mm-hmm.
15 years. Undervalued rents, wouldn't appraise. Went in, complete restructure of front landscaping, new signage, new mailboxes. Uh, we had 3 or 4 units that were turned over. We took rents from 390 to 650, and went from like a really crappy 3.9 cap to like a 6.5.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So, so when you did this all with a partner, right, and still have a partner.
Yep.
Okay. So let's talk about that for a second because I've always been partner adverse. My wife is my partner, so
Yeah.
uh, I don't have room for anybody else in my life. But uh, how's that gone for you? And are you just lucky, or does it often work out this way?
I got lucky.
Okay.
I think part of what works for me and Ed is that Ed is the good cop and I'm the bad cop. And I mean that not in a shady way, but I mean it in like I handle negotiations, I handle like pricing properties, I handle the contracts. He handles the relationships and getting people to do things, the
Mm-hmm.
back end systems, the tech, the data. Um, and so when you have these two people that really like, I don't want to do what he does,
Mm-hmm.
and he definitely can't do what I do when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to the negotiations and the
Mm-hmm.
he just doesn't like those confrontational type of situations, right?
Yeah.
So I got lucky, but I think a lot of that experience is that construction company that blew up because of the two partners. I watched that whole thing melt down.
Yeah, that's always having the front seat to some kind of drama like that. It changes your life. It's kind of like seeing your friend pass away, and it's just one of those things that just instantaneously, yeah, no, I don't want to play with that. Yeah, I agree. I yeah, I've had joint ventures with people that have gone extremely well, and I've had joint ventures with people that went extremely bad, very expensive, large checks written to cover losses and by me. And so, I'm not really excited about doing a lot of joint ventures. I still do them on occasion, but it's not very often. Not very often. But I'm glad it's working out for you. But I guess for everybody out there listening, a word to the wise is really vet who you're doing business with, vet who your partner is, vet who your JV partner is, because it can get you into a world of hurt if it doesn't work out. If you're not lucky, like Dan has been. So.
Yeah, it's and we had a big dating period, right, where we like when we first started, when he was owning a wholesaling business and he was having me do marketing and
Mm-hmm.
other things for him. It's like we really kind of figured out, this whole time while we had W-2s, we were working together, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
until like I was the first to peel off my W-2 and leave the website company, and he still has his career that he's doing. So it's like one of you have to create. There's this interesting dynamic where one of you have to figure out like who's going to be first to pull the plug and go
Mm-hmm.
full time real estate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to him, he was like, you know what? You've been putting in like 60-70% of the effort here in this last 6 months. And he's like, it's your turn to like open the veil and run with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to support you along the way. And then we'll slowly create that retirement plan for when I can get out of this and move into supporting you full time.
Mm-hmm. And how many hours a week do you work? Just out of curiosity. I
I'm,
mean, working, not like taking a phone call and then going back to the kids or whatever, but I mean, really working.
I try to work 6 days a week,
Mm-hmm.
Monday through Saturday. I try to, I don't do open houses. I have 18 agents to give them those to.
Mm-hmm.
Sundays are usually trying to like box it off to staying with the family because I have two young boys.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's a 7 day a week work, but we've been able to take our portfolio now and hand it to a property manager. And now it's just call or text if something happens off, out of the blue.
Okay. So you said earlier that you sell a lot of properties to investors, and that's one of that's one of the things that I like to talk about, because
Yeah.
it's most people don't want to work with investors because they never buy anything, right? And that all boils down to A, the agent bringing the deal, and B, the deal itself. Most deals are crap. I get deals across my desk every single day from agents that don't work. And the more they send me, the less I open their emails, until eventually I do not open them anymore. And it's sad because there's it got to be somewhere along the way. I can hear that, by the way.
What's up,
Is that your phone? I can hear it.
dude? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the problem is that if you don't learn how to vet deals, if you don't learn how to find what these guys want, they are not going to listen to you. You're going to get a reputation, and no one's going to listen to you. So the only reason I say that is because
Good point.
I want people to figure out how to do this so that they don't make that same mistake. Because having that regular income from investors, I mean, who buys all the time? Not your homeowner guy. He buys every 7 to 10 years, but an investor buys every month, right? And if you can bring a deal a couple of times a year and you've got 10 investors, that's 20 deals a year. You can live on that. You can absolutely live on that and then run your investment business. So that's kind of, I'm sorry, that's
No,
kind of my thing.
let's talk
Yeah.
about that.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I think you're identifying a problem why I got my real estate license, because every time I would try to work with real estate broker, they would just put me on property alerts and that's it. Right? And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. It's like, send me another deal that you didn't run the numbers on.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm buying holds. This is what we do. We run an APOD on it,
Mm-hmm.
price per unit, gross rent multiplier, cap rate. We try to do as much due diligence as upfront. So
Mm-hmm.
we will call the other agent, ask for some financials if they have them. If they
Mm-hmm.
don't have financials, which 9 times out of 10, the reason most listing agents shouldn't be investing or listing investment properties, they don't have what they need.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting rents. We're figuring out who's paying utilities, what the insurance is on that property. We can figure out the taxes. We
Mm-hmm.
plug it away, and we send the property with a CMA.
Mm-hmm.
We send it with a TRIO report from the title company, and then we send it with an APOD with both actuals and what we think market rent pro forma is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they can look at those numbers and figure out if the price per unit in that area makes sense. If it's going to be a property that has expandability, we're going to look up, what specific zoning it has. Can we build an ADU or DADU there, whatever it is. And then we make sure that when we're presenting those properties, especially with listing investment properties for other investors, is like, look, here's where you currently are. Here's the benchmark. Are you willing to invest this to make this return?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what most real estate agents, brokers, they don't do. They just send properties and
Oh
say,
yeah.
hey, this is a great neighborhood.
Yeah, this popped up today. I thought you'd want to see it. It's like, no, I saw it because I've got MLS too, and yeah, I saw that.
For
send
flip
me some send me some numbers, and I might be interested. If you and here's the thing too. There was a lot of agents think they're going to get robbed by these investors. Most investors just want people to bring them good properties so they can spend their time working on properties and buying more properties. They don't want to spend all their time analyzing properties. If you bring stuff to them that's analyzed, more than likely they're going to stick with you. If you don't, yes, they may look at that property, but the chances of them using you, very slim. Very slim. They've got no reason to, because they've got the same data you do, unless you're bringing them something that's off market, which, that's another thing you can do too, is bring them off market deals. But
Yeah,
yeah.
and because we've been wholesaling and investing for so long, it's like we do get off markets. I forward those on to a select list of, when it comes to the flippers, like, I'll be very honest with you, like, we've created a very, very specific plan with our house flipping clients. We only typically each agent has maybe one or two that they work with. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
We tell them straight up, and loyalty is to us. If you want to list with 7 different other agents, we're not interested.
Mm-hmm.
We will find you off market deals if we can. We will forward you wholesaling deals if you're not on their list. Whatever we can do to add value. But it's all about creating that relationship and running comps for you. and I actually have another spreadsheet that I use for flips that kind of
Mm-hmm.
has like ARView, MAO, and then I'm like, you plug in your rehab.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be quoted for what you think you can, what
Right. Oh,
what.
we'll do a guesstimate because I'm a contractor. I can guesstimate it, but yeah, I mean, obviously they're going to have to go and run their own numbers
Yeah.
for sure.
So, price per foot, price per square, price per
Yeah.
linear foot, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But we try to give them as much information as possible. Then I typically, in a given week, I tell a house flipper like at least 3 or 4 house flippers a week that I'm not interested in working with them.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is that allows us to keep that relationship with those ones that if we do send them something, we know they're going to close on it if it does make sense. And we
Yeah.
know that they're going to relist it with us if
Yep.
it made sense.
Yep. There you go. And there's that other source of income to the relist. A lot of agents don't ask for that. I don't know why, but they don't. And, I think it's because it's scary. It's like, well, I'm getting a commission on the front side. I don't think I want to get one on the back side. Nah, ask for it.
Always. I
Absolutely.
mean, your time is money, and especially with 1031s, we do a good like we run people deals on it. We
Mm-hmm.
like the wheel and deal as an investor. Like, hey, you let me list your 1031s and you're in 1031 in the same city and buy something else. Like, I'm going to make it on the front end on the purchase. So just make sure that here, sign the buyer representation agreement, meaning
Mm-hmm.
you're going to use me when you purchase the 1031, and on the list, I'm going to help you on that price.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's been really, really valuable to us. And we don't under.
Good. That's if you guys didn't catch that, that's a gold nugget right there. Can you say that again?
Yeah. So like on 1031s or anytime we call investors, tired landlords, people that are
Mm-hmm.
moving up, moving down, I always
Mm-hmm.
tell my agents on my team, like investor only has 3 paths. They're either growing their portfolio, they're either shrinking their portfolio or downsizing, getting out, or they're just sitting there and not really doing anything and treading water.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, if they're going to sell 3 properties to buy a bigger one, we're going to give them a deal on the listing commission of those 3 properties
Mm-hmm.
because we know we're going to get paid whatever the market rate is on the buyer agent commission on the
Right.
acquisition of the new properties.
Right. Yeah.
Um, and
But you're
so
still making money.
totally,
Yeah.
it's a volume game. Like I like wholesale numbers, right? We came from the wholesaling trenches. So it's
Yeah.
like, I don't need to charge 6% to list everything, right? I'd rather have 20 listings at all different variable commission rates. And I mix it up so no one knows actually what my rate is all the time. But
Mm-hmm.
we're taking care of buyers agents and making sure that they're paid. And,
Mm-hmm.
volume speaks. You're going to build more relationships by working with people than just having strict policy in your business that you only price or list at this.
Yeah. I know people that do that in luxury markets and they do very well with it. But in our business, you want that recurring business. Like I said earlier, a lot of these deals that you're doing them one time, and these people may never buy another house. They may not, but investors, you get a good investor, they'll be with you every month, every other month, whatever. It depends on how much you bring them,
Yeah.
and the clients for life if you take care of them.
And one big golden nugget is like, I think to make a agent investor relationship really work is the
Mm-hmm.
communication and the response. And I think it was, I don't know I think it was maybe been Pace that was talking about this with Rich Summers.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about how like, hey, if somebody sends me a property and it doesn't work for me, I typically email them back and it's like, hey, thanks for the look. It's not going to work for us, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But some level of communication, and it just happened to me yesterday. I sent a deal that was completely like underwritten and like my full evaluation and crickets.
Mm-hmm.
You're like,
Yeah.
was it not good for you? Because I said it wasn't good for you in the email, at least like some
Yeah.
gratifying,
Yeah.
three words. Thanks.
Yeah. But
So
no, I think what happens, and that's we're so inundated with things, emails and texts and all this other stuff. And if you're not sending out quality, people aren't going to see you anymore. I can't tell you how many people I don't look at anymore that maybe brought a couple of good deals, but most of them aren't. And it's sad because I know there's deals in there, but I've only got so much time in the day, and I'm going to go with people that are proven.
Yeah.
If you're sending out 10 bad deals and one good deal, that's not enough. You got to send out. There's no reason to send out bad deals. Nobody, if you want to stay front of mind, that's fine. You can call and touch bases with somebody, but don't send them a crap deal. That's the
Yep.
number one rule. Is if you're going to take the time to send a deal, make sure it's a deal. And yeah, it might not work for everybody, but at least face value, they can look at that deal and go, hey, you know what? This isn't such a bad deal, but it's not for me. But if they look at it and the first thing they say is, oh, this is shit. Why did he send me this? This is stupid. It's a two cap and, whatever. And people are going to, this is the little boy that cried wolf. People are going to stop listening to you. So don't
Yep.
do it, guys. Don't do it.
We try to separate our property alerts from our actual emails you're getting from me. So I always tell
Mm-hmm.
everybody, you're going to get sent garbage on property alerts. Like if you're taking a number two and you want to look through them, no problem. But if you get an email from me, I've looked at it,
Mm-hmm.
and I try to keep that separation in that process. But
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of how we train our investor agent, to keep that focus and understanding the laws. Like the last cold call campaign that we did, guys,
Mm-hmm.
you want to convert deals. We're in Oregon. We have rental control. They were trying to eliminate the new construction 15-year window that you could
Mm-hmm.
basically defer it. They were trying
Mm-hmm.
to do a bunch of different stuff. And we literally called through like 4,000 investors. The first thing we said to them is like, hey, I don't even care if I list your property or help you. I just want to let you know, do you know about SB 611?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, we would just like forward them links, send them texts with the link to the.
Mm-hmm.
I think being an authority in this business, whether you're on investor side or the agent hybrid investor side, is that you got to be able to provide value to people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you lead with value and you constantly are keeping up with current trends, laws, regulations, and then you're also doing those other things that we were talking about,
Mm-hmm.
investors will come out of the woodwork to call you and work with you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what about, so right now I hear a lot of agents saying, well, that's great. I want to work with investors. I want to start investing myself, but there's just no deals out there. There's no inventory. And look, we all know inventory is low. I mean, nobody can deny that. There's not as many deals as there were before. Nobody can deny that. But there's still deals. What do you think?
Tons of deals. It comes down to the timeline in which you want to be paid back for your
Mm,
efforts. And I
right.
think I think everybody has seen wholesaling, Airbnb, syndication, and flipping for the last 5 years be super profitable for people
Mm-hmm.
and getting quick money,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But I always try to teach real estate agents that want to invest is that, hey, would you be okay sticking 5 grand into a savings account for 3 years and never getting a cent back until I call you in 3 years and say, hey, your property's worth $150,000 more. Are you ready to cash it out?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that just simple analogy is the difference between an agent, because agents are always, I don't know how many real estate agents I talk to, especially just recruiting agents and bringing them onto a team,
Mm-hmm.
that they're like, yeah, I want to be a wholesaler. Or, yeah, I want to do this, or I want to get into Airbnbs. And I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. So does everybody else.
Yeah.
But
It's a crowded
where's,
space.
where's the discipline do you have to change locks and fix toilets and be your own landlord first to figure out that for a
Mm-hmm.
little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and then be able to start building systems and create scalability in your investments business. And I'll bring up this one example. There is an
Mm-hmm.
awesome agent in my market who's very well known. And he called me the other day, asked me about underwriting an investment deal. We're good friends. And,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, hey, are you still self-managing like 18 different duplexes? He's like, oh yeah, it's just a simple phone call for me. I get a repair here and there and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, what are they all running at? Like, do you know your financials, your P&Ls on all of those? And he's like, oh no, just kind of holding on to them. And I was like, dude, you have like a nest egg of millions of dollars in real estate and you don't even know
Mm-hmm.
how they're performing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think what happens, I got
Yeah.
to interject here. I think what happens is you've got other income coming in and you've got that and you can do a better job. but it's just not in your wheelhouse yet. And I think that's what, I don't know, man. I'm telling you, the majority of mom and pop people out there are that way. It's like, well, the money's coming in. They don't know how much money they're making. They just don't.
Yeah.
Not very many people do. I do, and sometimes I don't want to know. That sounds horrible. Sometimes I know the months are not good. It's like I don't want to see it, but I look anyway.
I think that the word is asset management. And I think
Yeah,
that's the most unsexy word in investing that people try to avoid. When they get their, when they get their Schedule E's or they get their K1s for the end of the year, they're like, oh my God, I didn't make any money, or I didn't do this.
yeah, yeah,
Or the property manager sends out their monthly statement to you and you're looking at income in, and then like, oh, the crap, I had a repair that was $1,200 and now I made
yeah,
$300, right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
I
yeah,
always try to tell everybody that's essentially like saying you don't care what Chase Bank shoots out of the ATM on the statement every time you put a paycheck into it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I really try to explain that asset management, even if you don't want to do it, find a really great property manager that knows how to do it.
And you still have to manage your manager. You still have to stay on top of it, even if you don't like it. You still have to stay on top of it. You have to
And
question, question, question.
and I have a great property manager. He
As do
understands.
I. As do I.
We've learned a lot from each other, right?
Yeah.
And one comment he did say to me, because I was speaking at one of our Lane County Rental Owners Association about valuation of properties.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, Dan, the one thing I don't understand is valuation of property. Like, I understand like prices, and I can call a real estate agent and get a comp and all that stuff. But he's like, what I'm good at is the laws and the evictions and getting the checklists and maintenance and
Mm-hmm.
making sure we're doing stuff that seasonality is like. I'll give you guys a quick example. One of the things that I still do to this day is I walk all of those properties about 2 times a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't tell him, I don't tell anybody. Me and my business partner get in our trucks. We just drive around and we look at every rental property we own. But the
Mm-hmm.
second thing I do is I was I enjoy mowing property, and I don't mow all of them, but there are a couple of the bigger properties I do mow from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
People don't even know I'm the owner,
Mm-hmm.
but it's systematic things like this. Like, there was blackberries that were taking over one of the units that were closest to the green space area.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh man, I hope the property manager gets on that and writes a letter to the lady to let her know that she needs to clean this up. This is in a park, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
not like we can clean it up.
Mm-hmm.
It's 4 weeks later, they're all cleaned up, because you know that your partner, the property manager, is looking at it through the same eyes as you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that needs to be done. Or why hasn't that boat been moved? And you go
Yeah.
back next week and that boat is moved.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that trust, that element of trust, is what real estate agents really need with investors.
Mm-hmm.
We've explained. But also, when they start owning investment properties, they need to know what property management means to be able to explain that when interviewing and hiring PM, to be like, these are my expectations. And that's what I did. I literally sent them a piece of paper with bullet points. It's like, this is what I need from you quarterly. This is what I'm trying to achieve in terms of my prospectus and pro forma. And this is ultimately how we can work together. And I can get you to this percentage. But let's start here. You get me to this milestone, and you get me to this milestone, and you'll get this percentage.
Mm-hmm.
That performance type of relationship has been super helpful on the properties.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good tip. That's a good tip. So, yeah, takeaway on that, kids, is and adults too, is manage your own properties to begin with. You need to understand how it works. All right,
The
don't
pain.
just hire a property manager right away. And I know for those of you that invest out of state, that's difficult. That's a different situation. But try to manage your own properties for at least a year before you hand that off to somebody else. Otherwise, you won't be able to manage your property manager. So then what it costs for an AC. You know what it costs for a move out. You know what it costs for a lot of different things that you're going to be running into and you're going to be getting billed for. And there's going to be a lot of surprises. I don't care how good your property manager is. They don't always call you for permission before they fix things. They just don't. And I don't care how many property managers I go through. It seems like 50% of the time they go over the budget just to get it done. And so you've just got to know these things. Just got to know them. So
It's
Dan, this has been good, man. We probably have to do it again.
yeah.
I feel like the plate's still half full here. So
We should
uh,
go. We should jump on a live. I love your lives with the gentleman out in New York. What's his
oh
name?
yeah,
I,
Dan and Welby and
yeah,
Gerald. Yeah,
great,
Campfire
great
Real
guys.
Estate. Yeah, thank you. We love that show. That's a lot of fun. That's a lot of fun to do that show. Uh, so if anybody wants to get a hold of you or reach out to you, or if somebody especially is in that area, how can they reach out to you?
Instagram is the easiest way to find me. Oregon Real Estate Expert. Oregon Real Estate, spelled it out, expert. Uh,
We'll put that in the show notes, guys, so you'll be able to see it.
you can catch me on Bigger Pockets. I'm typically adding like 3 to 5 properties through investors we've sold a month on
Mm-hmm.
there. We're the operative group. And then you can go to www.theoperativegroup.com, 458-209-0163. Call, text if you have questions. Guys, what I always try to tell everybody, I don't care if you're in California or Nebraska, if you have a question about something and you think it's going to take less than 5 minutes, shoot me a text. I'll jump on a call with you, help you. I help people across the country all the time. I know everyone's
Very
time is
cool.
valuable, but
Yeah.
that's what got me started, right? Somebody said learn
Mm-hmm.
spreadsheets and then talk to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
going to call you for some of your spreadsheets. That's for sure.
Awesome, man.
Maybe you hook a fella up. Maybe you hook a fellow investor up. That'd be great.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Hey, dude, so much wisdom today. I appreciate it. And this dovetails so nicely into what I've been talking about for so long. It was nice to talk to someone that's exactly sees things the way I do. So I appreciate it, man. I we'll love to have you back on here in the next year or so, and we'll catch up with you and see what you're up to. Okay.
Sounds good. Thanks, Mark.
All right, brother. Guys, thank you so much for being on Invest Soup. Appreciate you being here, and we'll see you next time.